Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals podcast number 9.
Number 9.
I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about the acquisitions of games we've picked up in the month of February, as well as games we played in the month of February,
Right.
and games that have come onto our radar, perhaps our wish list,
Ooh.
in the month of February.
I'm in suspense.
I know. It's crazy stuff.
What have we acquired in the month of February?
We have acquired a couple of games. Not a ton of games, but a couple. We picked up Sylveon.
Yes, in a math trade.
Yep. Which is interesting because we're not really big on co-op games, but it did look interesting.
Well, it was tower defense,
Yeah,
so that seemed cool.
different. We picked up Grand Austria Hotel.
Yes, we did. That was big on my wish list.
Yes, it was.
We'll talk about that later.
Yep. We picked up Concordia, which I had absolutely no interest in getting ever.
That was always on my wish list, actually.
No interest whatsoever.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We picked up the expansion for Tokaido, Matsuri.
And then we got 2 little expansions from the Board Game Geek store.
Yes.
And one was the time travel car, which, don't get too excited, I think they're sold out.
Yeah.
And we also got the expansion on their 4 Castles of Burgundy.
Pleasure Gardens.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we picked up. Let's get on to what we played.
All right. So we played a lot of games in February.
We did. We're just going to highlight some of the bigger ones. The ones that made bigger impressions on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's first?
Let's see. Well, we played Ashes quite soon in the month of February. So let's talk about that first.
True. Ashes. Interesting sort of deck building type battle attack card game. It has some interesting rules, so if you want to deck build you can, but you don't have to.
Right.
You can also, there's a system if you want to play draft, but again, you don't have to. There are 6 decks that are very different that you can play. What did you think?
I liked it. There was that one time where we played, I can't remember which 2 decks it was, but they did not work well. Like, the person I was playing just got creamed.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that I seemed to be able to do to get out from under that.
The very first duo that we played seemed well matched, and it was a very close game.
Yeah.
And then every game after that seemed like it wasn't balanced at all.
Well, I'm just going to say this one time, and we don't have to discuss it any further, but the second time we played, you did forget to shuffle your deck.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Got my deck all set up and then was about to shuffle it and thought, oh, wait, we need to get this. And got it and then completely forgot to shuffle my deck. Yeah, that didn't go very well.
No, he didn't have a very good game that time.
No, it was horrible. So I think it needs definitely more plays.
And to pair more of the combinations against each other.
Yeah. I tried to do some research to see if I could find, like, which are the best decks to play each other for the best balance, and I couldn't find anything like that.
I think for the most part, they're probably all pretty balanced against each other. Maybe the time I played, I can't remember what the deck was. I just don't remember. Maybe I just didn't figure out the trick to how to use that deck properly.
Yeah.
That could have been the issue.
Yeah. So I think Ashes needs more plays.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy the drafting, like the drafting of cards as well as the drafting of dice. It's a very neat mechanism.
I do like the dice mixed in with the cards for sure. It's different than playing Magic, which is nice, but it's still one of those head-to-head dueling games.
Yeah. Yep, so that definitely needs some more plays. The art is amazing. All the powers and stuff are really cool. And once we start to understand the tricks behind each of the decks, the fact that the style of play for each deck being completely different is very cool.
Yeah.
And of course, the big thing that I really like is the fact that you buy the base set and it comes with 6 decks of cards pre-made, and I never really have to do anything else with it. No deck building, just keep them as 6 separate decks and just open it up and decide which one's going to play and play.
And you always have the option, too, if you want to play differently.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Yeah. So that's cool. What's next?
Well, let's talk about why you didn't want Concordia ever.
Oh, because it looked, especially the cover, horrible.
I thought the cover looked interesting, and when I looked at a couple of things, I also thought the game looked interesting. But oh no, once Quinn's from Shut Up and Sit Down said he liked it, Justin had to look into it.
That's not true.
That's how it felt.
No, we watched the review by Shut Up and Sit Down, and it was the review of it that piqued my interest, because it seemed like it was a very easy, like simple set of rules to understand, with like a ton of hidden depth and hidden interconnectivity between the game's different kind of components. So that in itself, that piqued my interest. I think we bought the game, and then before we even got it, I started to play it on Bortejou, because they have it there. And I think at one point I had like 5 games of it going at the same time.
That's crazy.
Before the game even arrived. So yes, it has been quite fun.
I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It definitely lived up to its cover for me.
It blew its cover out of the water for me.
We even got the expansion on its way.
Yeah, the one with the salt. Cool. So that is Concordia. And if you're on Bortejou and you'd like to play a game of Concordia with me, Sweethearts or Rivals. Look me up.
Yep. And I do like the game because it's all about managing your resources.
Yeah.
And it's so simple because you have this hand of cards and you pick one and play it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on with just that one choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
So I think the next one we should talk about is Grand Austria Hotel.
All right.
Which has been on my wish list ever since I saw Rada do a run through on it, like months ago.
And that's interesting. Okay, yeah, sure. But not like, ooh, we must have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The look of it with the dice drafting and then fulfilling your orders and managing your resources and then getting your people in your rooms and getting that set of rooms completed all sound marvelously fun to me.
Yeah.
But once we started playing it, boy, there's a lot going on in that game. And it's incredibly difficult for me to manage all of those things, to mesh them so that I have optimal outcomes.
When I was watching the review, the one thing that kind of stood out that I really liked was the very unique dice drafting. So you roll all the dice, and then you separate them. So you roll 3 3s, so those go into the 3 spot. And then the 2s go in the 2 spot, and the 1s go in the 1 spot, and all that kind of separation. And then each of the numbers represents a different action you can take. And the number of dice that are in that action make it better. So if you rolled like 5 5s, and you take one of the 5 actions, that gives you a lot of that action to do.
Yeah.
And trying to roll with how the dice roll to get the best out of each of your actions, but at the same time not giving up completely on whatever you had planned from the first. I just thought that was a really interesting, unique mechanism I'd never seen before. So that piqued my interest, and I quite enjoy it.
I like it. I just find it incredibly difficult. And to prove the point on how I find it difficult, the very first time we played, you probably beat me by 30 points, maybe.
Maybe.
The second time we played, he lapped me. The third time we played, he lapped me twice. So I was getting kind of discouraged. And we played it several times after that. I lost even count how many times I lost. But I did manage to pull out a win the last time we played. So it's doable, but it's just really difficult for me to win.
It is. It's very interesting. You have to be, you have to have this long-term plan, but you have to get there very tactically by constantly changing with like the ebb and flow of the dice.
Yeah.
Which is very weird and difficult to do. And there are a lot of things to keep track all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we've never played Blood Rage, but Blood Rage has this draft at the beginning of the game that everyone says is the game. And when we play Grand Austria Hotel, there are a draft of helpers that give you what can be very powerful bonuses. And I think a little bit of Grand Austria Hotel, again, is in that draft and what you can get. Because a lot of the times when I do really well, it's because whatever I happen to be going for my strategy really worked with the combo of powers my helpers gave me. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, and that's not a strength of mine when I play games, to see those interconnecting pros,
Yeah.
like how they synergize together.
Yeah.
So that's probably a reason I find the game difficult.
Yeah. Very interesting. The only thing we haven't done with Grand Austria Hotel yet is play it with more than 2 players. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Right.
Yep.
Maybe we should talk about my game of the month next.
Sure. What's that?
At the Gates of Loyang.
Yeah. And this is almost my game of the month as well.
What was yours?
Mine was definitely Concordia.
I thought so, yeah.
Concordia is awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoy it a lot.
But At the Gates is really interesting. Like, way more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
This one we got at a silent auction.
Yep.
And I really just got it because of it was farming, but it looked cute because it had all these little veggie meeples.
Yeah. And it was Uwe Rosenberg.
Yeah, and I knew a little bit about the game, but not a whole lot. But once we've played it, I really enjoy this game.
I need to play some more of the other games we've recently gotten into from Uwe Rosenberg before I can make this statement like 100%. But right now, it's my favorite.
I really like it.
Yeah.
And it's because, for me, you're going to turn over a card. It's going to be your field. Every round you're going to turn over a new card. And it's only got so many plots on each one. Like, some have 3, some have 5, some have 6, or whatever. And then you've got these orders that you're trying to fulfill. So you have to strategically plant your vegetables, because you're going to harvest one vegetable from each field each round to fulfill your order. So it's the timing of what to plant when and in what field, so that you have enough vegetables spread out for all your orders.
Yeah.
And it's really a satisfying puzzle to figure out for me.
It is. It's very tricky. It has this very unique card play, which is one of the reasons I like it. After you harvest and everything, everyone gets a hand of cards, and then when it's your turn, you decide to either put a card down into the middle, kind of like the pot, or you take one card from the pot and one card from your hand and put the rest in the pot for everyone else to kind of deal with. Very unique and interesting and kind of weird. Because you put a card down that you really want to get and you don't think anyone else does.
And you really hope they don't take it.
And then somebody takes it, and then you're like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very unique, interesting. And it also has a really great sense of escalation. There's very little you can do at the beginning, but a couple of rounds in, you've got several fields on the go, and then you're harvesting a lot, which allows you to do a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of unique, very interesting mechanisms in that game.
I enjoy it a lot.
Me too. I expected very little from this game, and it has blown me away.
I didn't know quite exactly what to expect from the game, but I'm really happy with what came in the box.
Yeah. I'm thinking after some more plays of some of the other Uwe Rosenbergs, maybe this summer we'll do like kind of a series on our Uwe Rosenbergs and our impressions of them all.
And then we can say our definite favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so far very, very cool. Plus, unlike some of the other ones, it's long, but it's not super long.
No, it kind of feels like it's in an hour, but I think it's a little bit longer than an hour.
Yeah. Very cool. What's next?
So the next, we might as well talk about the one that I won in the auction, where I had to actually physically hold up my paddle and make a bid.
Yep.
And I won Parfum. So I really wanted this game because the components looked really beautiful, and the theme is about perfume. It's a very girly theme. And I knew it was random on top of random, and I thought, well, I think the theme can win out over the random for me.
Okay.
I think it's too random.
Yeah. You have random customers that come out each round. Well, they don't come out each round. New ones come out each round, but it's all random from a stack.
If you filled them, then some new ones will come out.
You have a random lineup of what perfume formulas you're trying to create. And then you have a number of actions where you are rolling random dice to try to fulfill certain perfume accents. all of it is just
Random.
several
On
layers
random.
of random. Yeah.
On top of more random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's lots of little ways that you can mitigate the dice. Well, there's not lots of. There's a couple of ways.
No, just a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is some mitigation, but I mean, and there's a couple other things, like if you've got this perfect perfume but no customers want it, you can sell it for cheap.
Yeah.
But after you've worked so hard
to get those awesome perfumes,
you don't want to do that.
No.
So it's just, yeah, it does look really great. The components are amazing. The dice are really cool.
Yeah.
Really like the dice. And the theme doesn't bug me at all. It's an interesting and unique theme. But it's...
Well, it's not like you're wearing the perfume. You're creating the perfume.
Yeah.
To try to sell the most fancy perfume.
Yeah. And it's just a random fest.
I think this, though, would be a great gateway game.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing with someone for the first time and they're used to rolling moves or something like that, where it's all random...
Yeah.
Like, all you're doing is rolling a dice so you can move around a board to see who gets to the finish line first.
Yeah.
I mean, this puts more thinking on top of random.
True.
Because you do have to manage the perfumes you make to fulfill the orders of the people.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a puzzle there. But I think because we want to optimize our perfumes and sell them to the most highest paying customers,
Yeah.
that's why we have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because we want to optimize our turns rather than just, oh, look, I made perfume. Oh, look, I can sell it to the customer. Yay, I get points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're looking for something more than that.
Yeah. There's nothing we can do. There's no choices we can make to sell our perfect perfume to the perfect buyer, except waiting for it to randomly show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, right on. So, that was Parfum.
It is. Let's see. We could talk about the expansion for Tokaido.
Yeah, Matsuri. That's very interesting. Tokaido is one of like the first games we got that we was like, this is just awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matsuri, is basically an event deck, plus a bunch of new player characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of new player characters.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I can't remember exactly how many, but there were a lot in that box.
Yeah. And the event deck is when you get to the inns that are in between the first and last one, there is an event which is called a festival. And sometimes it's something that happens right away. Sometimes it's something that affects the next path until you get to the next inn. And it's kind of neat. It adds just a new element of things that will happen, which is kind of cool.
And it's really neat. I think it's the first player, right, that gets there, and you get to look at two and choose one.
Yes.
So there is a little bit of, you can choose a card that's really good for you and maybe not so good for your opponents, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, very neat. I enjoyed playing with it.
It interacts a lot with the first expansion, though.
Yes.
So if you don't have the first expansion, you probably can't use about half of the new expansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing that was weird, when you punch out the circles in the top left-hand corner of your character cards, the discs that came with the original game don't fit in those holes. They're too small.
Yeah. Which
in
is
the new
weird.
character cards, yeah.
Must have been like a new printer or printing or something, because we've had Tokaido for quite some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I just thought I might mention that.
Yep. Very solid expansion to add some new flavor to the game. Very cool.
Another game that we played, we went to game night at the beginning of February.
Yep.
And we got to play a game by a designer that we know who he is. We have actually met him, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's called Space Team, and the designer is Henry Smith.
Yep.
And he's the brother of one of our friends that we game with in Yarmouth on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
And this is based somewhat on the app.
Yeah, there's an app.
Yeah, which is kind of neat. And it's a cooperative app. And the game, Space Team, is this crazy, you have to build the sections of the spaceship. And there are all these crazy tools and problems that you have to connect the right tool to the right problem to solve it, to get through your deck until you get all the pieces. So it becomes a big shouting match.
Because there's no turns.
Yeah.
It's all simultaneous play.
Yeah. And if, let's say, someone on the other side of the table needs my hydro spanner, I can't just give it to them. I have to give it to one of the people that's next to me, left or right.
And we have to pass it around the table.
Yeah. So it's just pure chaos.
It is. It's a chaos party game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's cooperative, so everyone's trying to help each other out, but everyone has their own problems that they're trying to solve. And then sometimes there's crazy things that'll happen, like the gravity will turn off, so everyone starts to float away from the table until something happens. Like weird little things like that, where you're so involved in your problem, you don't realize what's going on.
Yeah, you don't realize someone's floating away, and we have to go catch them, or they're not going to be able to finish their part of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found it really interesting. I think it's kind of clever.
It is very interesting and clever.
As an introvert, though, the gameplay for me is a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because there's touching people involved.
Yeah.
And shouting, which I'm not a shouter.
Yeah.
But other than that, I find it's a fun, chaotic party game.
Yeah. Very neat. I had a good time playing it.
We also played a print and play of a game that was on Kickstarter. I think it's done now.
Yep.
But it looked really super cool, so I wanted to give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And so we printed out the print and play.
Yep.
Villages of Valaria.
Yeah. So we decided to try it out just to see if we maybe wanted to back it or if we wanted to express our thoughts on it. And we played it. What did you think?
I find it really interesting.
Is this interesting?
It's kind of, I think it's almost filler length.
Yeah.
Not quite. I think it would be under an hour, but it might be more than a half an hour.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you've got these cards. Well, you start yourself with a castle. And then you've got these cards that you can either play them down to build buildings or play them upside down under your castle to give you your resources that you use to build the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game where you can also, you choose your action, and I think there's 5 or 6 different actions. And everyone can follow you with a lesser degree, except for one action. There's no following allowed after taxing or whatever.
Yeah.
But all the rest of them, like if I build, you could build. But it would
cost me more.
No, it doesn't cost you more. I get to draw a card, but you don't get to draw a card.
Right. If you develop and I follow, it costs me more to develop.
Right. Or if I buy a hero, I pay a gold, but you would pay 2 gold to follow me.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Kind of a set collection, though. Not necessarily a puzzle, but you're set collecting to get certain
styles of building
symbols on your buildings.
Yep.
And those symbols can tell you what kind of heroes you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the heroes will give you like extra points to score at the end of the game sometimes, or just straight up points or whatever.
Yeah. And a lot of the buildings and heroes have special abilities that change how you can play.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, but it's not, at least for me, it wasn't backable.
Well, we have to be kind of careful with our Canadian dollar right now.
Yes.
Whatever the price was in US and the amount of cards or whatever it worked out to Canadian was a little bit more than I wanted to spend.
Yeah. And it's even though it's probably a little bit longer than a filler, it just felt like a filler.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't enough going on in the game for me to really get invested in it. So because I wasn't invested in my game, I wasn't really invested in wanting to own it. But it's a unique and interesting set of mechanisms for a card game that worked quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the other thing too is because it's a choose an action and everyone can follow it. If I wanted to play something like that, we have other games that do that I enjoy much more. So that could also be why.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Cool. We played a bunch of other games, but they're all games we've either talked about before or we'll probably talk about at a future date.
That's true.
Yeah. But what about games that have entered into on our radar or perhaps even into our wish list?
Well, I can tell you one that wandered onto our radar and went right into a pre-order.
Yep.
It was the Arcadia Quest Kickstarter, Masmora.
Dungeons of Masmora.
Yikes.
Yep.
It was too cool with our collection not to back the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I don't know if we even watched a lot of stuff on how the game plays, even though it is different than Arcadia Quest.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
And you use your characters in a different way.
Yeah.
And the monsters are generated randomly by dice.
Yep.
So it's totally different than Arcadia Quest. But you get to use all the Arcadia Quest stuff, which is cool.
Yeah. We looked at some stuff and thought, gotta have it, so we backed that.
Yeah.
Added a couple of extras on top of there, and then I think it was when they had the, oh, here's a package for an extra $15, and now you can take all of the heroes from Arcadia Quest and use them in Masmora. And we were just like, oh, yeah.
But the heroes from Masmora could already be switched over into the Arcadia Quest, right?
That is true, which is also awesome.
Yeah, so you're getting a whole bunch more heroes.
Yep.
You're getting the randomized dungeon crawl game.
Which just sounds awesome.
And now we're going to get hero cards to be able to play our original heroes in the dungeon crawl.
Yep.
Which is cool. Except we're not going to get a Leroy Jenkins one.
That's okay. We're going to have so many heroes.
But Leroy's the best.
He's all right. They're just between Arcadia Quest, Inferno, and Masmora. We're going to have like an entire shelf or two with like level tiers to showcase all of our heroes.
What? You want to keep them outside the box.
Well, yeah.
We're going to have to discuss this further.
Okay. Stay tuned in our next podcast to see what happens with this argument.
Dun, dun, dun. What else came on our radar?
Well, a little while ago, Wagon came out, and we watched a couple reviews on it, and it had very interesting mechanisms, even though the game itself looks very bland.
Right. But it did go on our wish list at that time.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it showed up for pre-order on the Board Game Bliss.
Yep.
So we watched some more reviews on the Wagon. Mm-hmm. And what did we discover?
We discovered that the most interesting mechanisms in Wagon come from the same designer's earlier game, Glenmore, which I have never played.
I've seen it being played before, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a chance to play it.
Yeah.
So then that inspired us to go watch more reviews on Glenmore.
And now we definitely are interested in Glenmore quite a bit.
And I think Wagon has gone by the wayside.
Yeah. Yeah, Glenmore looks much cooler.
Yeah. Even though it's an older game.
Yeah.
And we have seen it around and about. We just haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Yeah, we have friends locally who own it. So one of these days we will be borrowing it. Or just having them over to play.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. What else?
Well, there's the other one, and I'm not sure I can even pronounce them, but it's the new remake from the Stefan Feld game.
Yes, so...
Die Specterstadt?
Die Specterstadt.
Okay.
And the expansion Kai Specter. I probably mangled that horribly. I apologize.
That's what it looks like to us, but yeah, it's hard to say these words.
Yep.
And then they're going to be retheming it in a Viking theme.
Yeah.
And it's going to be called...
Jorvik.
Okay.
So, very interesting Stefan Feld game. We watched some reviews on Die Specterstadt and the expansion, and very unique card play, but a theme that is very, very blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the retheming of both the original and the expansion into one game, and I haven't heard if they're streamlining or redesigning the cards, but the retheming is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And the interesting card play has me very interested in that.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
It is, and definitely once more videos become available,
yeah,
we will have to do our research to see if it's one that we want to pick up or not.
Yep. Anything else that has entered onto our radar this month?
Well, when I watched the Best of the Month from the Dice Tower the other day,
yeah,
it's the Caruba game.
Yeah.
And I had saw that ages ago. I think I saw Z talking about it. Mm-hmm. But when I saw the overview or whatever, I didn't understand what was going on. Because there was 4 different colors on the board, on your own player board,
Yep.
with a pyramid and a man, and you're trying to get your same color man to the same color pyramid.
Hmm.
I thought there were player colors involved, so I couldn't wrap my mind around how you play this game. But like, you've got a board and you're trying to get all 4 of your different colors.
Yeah.
To all 4 of the different colors of the pyramid. And once that clued in, it's like, oh, now I understand why everyone's going on about this game like crazy people.
Yeah,
it does sound really cool.
Because the colors of the people in the pyramids are not player colors whatsoever.
Right, and that's what I was confused about.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but nobody actually says that in any of their overviews of it.
Well, maybe they do. Maybe some people that we didn't watch said it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Or maybe they did say it and I misunderstood totally what they were saying. Because that happens to me. I mean, sometimes I misunderstand what people say.
I don't know. Watching the same thing you were, there was a point where I was like, oh, those aren't player colors. Why didn't they say that? And then, yeah, it clicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it is very interesting to have everyone with their own player board with the exact same puzzle setup.
Right.
And everyone's getting the exact same tile each round, but where you place it...
It's up to you.
That's very interesting.
And you do keep an eye on your other opponent's boards to see how close they are to different things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's treasures to pick up along the way. Like, you can spend your tiles for movement or you can place them on the board. So it's got those... tricky decisions, I think. One of those tricky decision games.
That's
also... what it seems like now that I've clued in to, like, actually what the game's about.
And the fact that you can't move anything unless you take a tile and instead of placing it, get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And that's how you move.
Yeah, you have to decide.
That is so tricky.
Yeah, because, I mean, one wrong discard.
Yeah.
And you could give your game away to your opponent.
Well, it's like 2 people trying to, like, speed win a puzzle. Like an actual puzzle.
Yeah.
But every now and then you've got to decide which pieces you're going to toss away. And people are tossing away different pieces. And who's going to get the best part of the puzzle. That's just...
I can understand now why there's such a buzz.
Yeah, that's very unique and interesting.
I definitely want to keep our eye on that on the wish list.
There is one more game that has kind of come on my radar just recently. And I can't really say who or what or why. It wasn't anything I've watched recently. But it was Mombasa. And we watched some stuff on it a while ago, and I remember watching it and going, if this was rethemed into some kind of like sci-fi or fantasy type game, corporations in the future, mining like something to make it more interesting than the exploitation of Africa?
That does sound like a hard theme to wrap my mind around.
Yeah. But I think the reason why it's come on my radar is the different tracks that represent different companies that don't belong to any player. And as you play, you've got to weasel your way into owning more of the companies that suddenly start doing better. And the companies only do good or bad based off the player's actions.
Really? Have you got that straight? That sounds not fun.
It sounds very intriguing to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds mean to me.
No, maybe. But you're not actually attacking anyone or anything like that.
No, but you're right about the theme. We should watch more stuff on that.
Yeah.
And see. But I don't know. That sounds...
The theme itself...
sounds cruel.
The theme itself turns me right off of it. But the mechanisms are intriguing. I guess what it is I don't know if I'd ever want to go out and buy it, but I wouldn't mind playing it, and I certainly want to know more about the mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's on your radar then.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right on. So, those are our acquisitions, our plays, and our radar/wish list updates for February.
Do we have any news or anything?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, we did just recently get our podcast accepted on the Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
So that's another place where if you do a search, like if you can't find the podcast, if you stumbled across this somewhere, just go to the Board Game Geek and look under all the podcasts.
Yep.
And we're under S for Sweethearts.
Sweethearts or Rivals.
That's us.
Yeah. And you can listen to our podcast directly from there. You can listen to it from iTunes. You can also listen to it on our blog, because we always post it there.
Yeah.
And, of course, if you go to Podcast Garden, there's our podcast right there as well.
Right. And I worked for 2 whole weeks, or was it 3?
Probably 3.
And I put some pictures to video as well. So some people don't necessarily just like audio. And if you want to watch a video, I've turned them into videos as well.
There we go.
So it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't miss it now.
Even though that is a lot of work, do you think you'll continue to take our podcast and do a video version?
Well, now that I'm caught up, it's only going to be one a month or so for that. And some of the other podcasts that we do
start off as video.
Right, they start as videos.
True.
So some of our videos just get translated to audio anyway, so.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll keep it up.
Awesome.
Unless people, don't want to watch them. Because it does take a long time to do that.
Well, we'll see.
But we'll see.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's our podcast number 9.
That it is. So if you have any questions, just look us up on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or anywhere there. Or you can always email us at sweetheartsorrivals@gmail.com.
Yep. Right on.
That's it for now.
Thanks for listening.
We'll talk at you later.
Laters.